Hello, Freddie. Welcome along, everybody. Welcome back to the Motive Racing News Channel for tonight's Purple Sector Formula One League action here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Canada. And as you can see, we're almost halfway through the qualifying session before the race. We've got a bit of a depleted grid here, unfortunately, tonight. A lot of drivers couldn't make it here, so as a result, we've just got the 10 of us out on track here. I say of us, obviously I'm not one of them because I'm commentating, but yeah, not so many people out there on track here tonight, which is a bit of a shame, but we speak to Matty Pitt. It's hopefully going to be a one-off. Also, if anyone is interested in joining a Formula One league, be sure to check out the comments section because some very clean races here. It's very competitive, and I'm sure we're going to see some good action despite the depleted field, but obviously we would love to fill out that grid because for a few reasons. Obviously, for the drivers out on track, it's, you know, they might get a bit lonely if they're driving by themselves, but also from a commentary point of view, from my point of view, it's great to see lots of cars out on track, and it makes it a bit more exciting when you've got more to talk about. So, as we said, Matty Pitt has asked me if we can plug the league a little bit, so check out the comments section, or not the comments section, sorry, the description, and you can see the link to the Discord server is in the description below the video. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're interested in joining Formula One League. It's cross-play, so it doesn't matter what platform you're on, as long as you're on current gen. It could be PS5, Xbox Series, or PC, doesn't matter. And obviously, that could be a pretty good PC, I'm sure. But yeah, aside from that, yeah, if you fancy it, then definitely come along. But without further ado, let's get into the action. So, currently got Big Racky sat atop the leaderboard here on a 109.6. He's shown flashes of brilliance here so far this season, from what we've seen at least on the streams. And he's bringing it into the pits right now. He's currently top of the leaderboard here, over a half a second ahead of V10 Ultra, sat in second place. So Big Racky's clearly put in the work. Either that or V10 Ultra's still yet to show his real speed, but whichever one it is, it's still a very, very good lap time there from Big Racky, because he's nearly a second ahead of the Mags, and he's justified. He's over a second ahead of Brinky and Matty Pitt. So definitely knows a thing or two around this circuit. V10 Ultras seems to be on either an in lap or an out lap. I would have thought this would be an out lap because he's down on it. He's so far for the top time, but it isn't. He is actually on an in lap, so V10 Ultra is going to be coming in and going for another run. One would assume in a moment's time. As I've just realised, I've been commentating through my controller, so do apologise for that, guys. And the significantly below par for the first couple of minutes, but now you should hopefully be able to hear a much more crystal clear and proper version of myself through the mic. So yep, my bad, sorry about that. But now the audio jack is plugged in, so you should be able to hear me nice and crisp here right now. But the Mag is currently on a flying lap, so is Brinky, although Brinky's stacked it there through the first sector, so that's going to be his lap done. Matty Pitt's 3/10 up through the middle sector. Let's see what he's able to do as he comes over the line. Can he improve a few places here, up into P5, so not really much of a change there for Matty Pitt. Lost a bit of time there in that final sector by the looks of it. We know that Brinky obviously made a mistake at the start of the lap. Rexy Boy is down through the first sector, so there's not going to be an improvement for him. And Freddie coming through the middle sector, but it's not saying what he got in the first sector here, so we're not really sure what the situation is with him. Mags is down currently on the lap that he's on at the moment. It's trouble with Freddie here as he's coming through the middle sector and coming down towards the hairpin. Probably the best, probably one of the best overtaking spots on the track. Maybe the final chicane or turn one with the DRS, obviously in the DRS age of Formula One, which has been around now for a good while, to be fair. Nearly 2 decades, I think, DRS has been a thing in Formula One. But here comes Freddie down towards the final chicane here. Let's see how he gets on here. Is he going to nail it? Not taking too many liberties there, was quite cautious on the run through it, and up towards the line comes Freddie. What is it going to be for him? He comes into P3 there, so that's a lovely lap there from Freddie, putting it a 10th ahead of the Mags and 8/10 off for the current provisional pole time being set by Big Racky there. So Freddie doing a very, very stellar job there indeed. We've got Mags here currently 2/10 up through the first sector, so let's stay on with him and see what he's able to do. It really seemed like he was attacking there, coming through the chicane and down towards the hairpin now. Keeping on that split time, he's a 10th up through the middle sector here, so could potentially be a threat to Freddie's P3, maybe even V10 Ultra's front row spot at this stage, because he's only 3.5 tenths off of V10 Ultra's time. So if he can find a couple of tenths in this final sector, then V10 Ultra could be looking over his shoulder here. Here he comes then. Mags down towards the final chicane. Oh, there's a little bit wide there through the second part of the chicane. That would have compromised his speed onto the start-finish straight. What's the time going to be? It's not good enough for P3. Stays in fourth and wasn't even a personal best there for the Mags either. We've got Oliver in the comments says, "Conver Freddie, I believe in you, mate. Get some points for V-Carb while I'm away." So obviously Oliver not here tonight, which is a shame to see. But Freddie really showing he's got the pace here tonight. Wasn't quite there at Monaco last Thursday. But he had a very strong round at Imola last week on Tuesday night. Managed to finish P2 last week at Imola. So we know that he's got speed and he's got consistency as well. But Monaco wasn't his night. Maybe tonight here in Montreal it could be a different story though. Got to keep an eye on Freddie here because he could be certainly a dark horse for a podium place. That's for sure. Justify, look at him, 0.4 of a second up to the middle sector, so this is almost certainly going to be a front row here as long as he can keep it together in the final sector. Here comes Justify up towards the line. What is it going to be? It's going to be, it is a front row by 1/10 of a second there, puts it ahead of V10 Ultra. Lovely up there from Justify on those fresh soft tyres. There's Big Racky's 2/10 down for the first sector, half a second down through the middle sector. Has he done a lap that he cannot possibly match here? Looks like it could have potentially been one of those one in a million lap times there from Big Racky as he comes down the back straight towards the final chicane here. Let's jump over with Big Racky. Is this going to be into the pits at the end of this lap? It is, so clearly doesn't feel like he's going to have any chance of improving on his current provisional pole time. Justify here, let's keep an eye because last lap was an absolute stonker and 0.4 off of the pole time. Is he going to try and improve? No, he's on an in lap by the looks of it because he's nearly a second down, so it's not going to be an improvement at the moment. Brinky has just done a time good enough for 7th. He's now starting another flying lap here, and the only driver currently on the flying lap out there at this point. Brinky currently in 7th, but there's not much to separate 4th down to 7th place. Freddie, Mags, Matty Pitt and Brinky all separated by only 0.3, and Brinky was almost 0.3 up through the first sector alone here, so if he can continue to find that time he could be provisionally on the second row of the grid here through this tricky 6 and 7 chicane down towards the hairpin of turn 8. Oh, he goes very, very deep there, this Brinky. Oh, and he gets loose there coming out of the hairpin as well. And that's the lap done there. So, well, is he going to stay out? I think he's going to have to come into the pits. Maybe he's going to retire from the session, who knows. But Rexy Boy, 2.5 up through the middle sector. 2.5. If he was able to find that, would put him P7 as things stand. Maybe even P6 actually, ahead of Matty Pitt. But here comes Rexy Boy through the final sector. It's right on board as he comes into the chicane here, and he comes into the pits, so he's aiming to do another run, fresh set of tyres. Maybe he feels that there was more time in the first part of that lap and he could do a little bit better here, as Brinky is going to do another run on these tyres. No, he's not. He's backed out. He definitely lifted and coasted there into turn 1, and yeah, he's not pushing, so I don't know why he crossed the line there. He would have been better off coming into the pits. Maybe he hadn't noticed the ticking clock in the top left-hand corner as he came around the final corner there and just realised it as he crossed the line. But Brinky, I think, is going to be out of qualifying. It's going to be P7 at best for him, and that's if those behind him don't improve. And look at this, T is improving absolutely hand over fist here. He's 0.4 up to the middle sector, coming over the line here. What is it going to be for T? He goes P4 there. Pushes Freddie down a position, so T provisionally on the second row of the grid. Looks like he hasn't got enough fuel to get around for another lap here, so that's it. Now his session done as well. But the big players at the front, Big Racky, Justify and V10 all out there, ready to start flying laps here. So V10 Ultra about to start his final flying lap of the session. The big news in the week since the race on Thursday was that the runaway winner from the Monaco race, V10 Ultra, did actually get disqualified from the race in the end for an incident that we knew of on the stream, but we didn't know it was caused by him. Essentially, there was an incident involving himself and Mark, and apparently the stewards took a very dim view of it. It sounds to me like it could have been a deliberate crash of some sort, because I can't imagine why else such a indiscretion would lead to such a harsh penalty. But nonetheless, what looked like a fantastic performance, at least from my point of view, has been marred a little bit by some questionable decision making from our championship leader. But nonetheless, coming into the final sector here, he's half a second up on his personal best through the middle sector, and in towards the final sector we go. Is he going to continue this momentum into the final sector? If he does, I can't see him not taking pole here. Into the final chicane comes Viton Ultra, attacking that final chicane with real zest as well. Here he comes then out of the final corner, up towards the line. Is it going to be pole for Viton Ultra? It is pole by 0.3 of a second, but Big Racky's out there. Although saying that, he is 0.06 of a second down to the middle sector, so is this going to be enough for him? I don't think it is, you know. It isn't. Big Racky there improves his own lap time slightly, but not enough to move on to pole. Justify is 0.2 down to the middle sector. It would take an absolutely colossal effort here to put it on pole. It's not going to be an improvement here for Justify, I don't think. No, it isn't. 0.2 down. T and Matty Pitt are done for the session. Freddie's out there at the moment, 0.2 up through the first sector alone. But he's backed out of it, I think. As he know, I thought he was because he was off the racing line there, but he's still going for it. So Freddie, sorry mate, just thought for a split second that you might have bailed out of it, but 0.3 of a second up into the hairpin. He's definitely on one here, is Freddie. As I said before, 6th place in his session at the moment. If he continues this momentum, he could easily get into P4. Maybe 3rd place might be a bit beyond him. He's 0.4 off of 3rd place Justify at the moment, but he could definitely leapfrog T and Matty Pitt here. Here comes Freddie down the back straight towards that final chicane. How's he going to do? He a bit wide through the first part. He would have lost a tiny bit of time there, and he's bailed out of it. And Freddie's out of the qualifying there. It's going to be P6 at best for him. Who else is out there on lap time? Rexy Boy's coming into the final sector here. Down the back straight he comes for the final time here in qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. Here's Rexy Boy into that final chicane now. Out of that final corner up towards the line. I think this is going to be an improvement, but how much? Oh, in the end, it was 0.3 of a second, so stays in P9. Wasn't an improvement. You know, Blanco in the pits. I wonder if he might have had a qualifying ban for tonight. I'm not sure, but potentially that could be the case. But whatever the case, Viton Ultra, pole position here. Looked like, for a lot of the session, like it was going to be Big Racky on pole, but Viton Ultra, in the end, does what he does. Typically in a qualifying session here at Purple Sector, he just found the time at the end of the session and put it on pole by 2.5 in the end. So Viton Ultra, the championship leader, I believe still the championship leader despite the DQ from Monaco. We'll have to just double check that quickly actually, because I don't want to be spreading false information here on the stream. Let's have a quick look. Make sure that we're actually talking sense here. Yeah, he is still the championship leader by quite some way as well. 28 points, his gap over Matty Pitt in 2nd. We'll come to those championship standings in just a moment, but Oliver there says P6 good quality for Freddie. Let's hope for an even better race. Certainly are hoping for a good race here, Oliver. We saw he had pace on that final run. I think the pressure got a little bit to him there coming to the final chicane, just a little bit. I think with a lot riding on it, we've know that final chicane has been the downfall of many a great driver. So obviously you can't really knock him for it. But yeah, I think the fear of the Wall of Champions caused him to take that evasive action and maybe try and stay extra far away from it, and that was what cost him the time through that final chicane. But nonetheless, it's shaping up for a great race here, and there's plenty that he can do from that position. So let's hope for the best here. I'm sure a podium is certainly on the cards here for him. We know what his consistency is like, especially at Imola last week as well. So yeah, Freddie's in with a good chance of some good points here tonight. But in terms of the battle for the win, I think it's most likely going to be between V10 and Big Racky here tonight. If Big Racky can stay consistent, keep himself out of trouble, and avoid those time penalties, which we know can be a bit of a magnet for, I'm sure he'd agree with that. If he can keep his nose clean, then he could be onto a really good result here tonight. Who knows if he can battle V10 Ultra. V10's consistency out the front is well known at this point, so it would take something special for Big Racky to be able to defeat him here. But nonetheless, we're getting underway here for the formation lap. Justified 3rd place, a little way off of the top 2. Justified was kind of in a bit of a league of his own, in a sense, and not in terms of head and shoulders above the rest of them. He was kind of just almost like best of the rest. Like, he's above the chasing pack, but he's just not quite on the level of the top 2 at the moment. So I'm sure he'll be looking to try and consolidate that podium place. There were drivers like Freddie behind him who we know generally go better in the race. It could be a tricky task there for Justify to keep onto that podium place. But here we are then, lining up on the grid here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve for this Canadian Grand Prix here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. Pardon me, that was a hiccup. Just want to say a quick plug to the league. If anybody's interested in joining, we are cross-play here at Purple Sector. We also we're on current gen as well, and although you can actually drive on old gen, I think, still, but nonetheless, here we go. Lights coming on the head of the grid, and we are underway here for the Canadian Grand Prix, and it's Viton Ultra who gets a decent start there ahead of Big Racky. T's already got ahead of Justify around the outside up into P3, and Matty Pitt there and Freddie having a bit of a dice. Matty Pitt on the outside, Freddie there forcing his way through. Oh no, and Justify there got out of shape in front of Freddie. Freddie nowhere to go, and both of those two in the wall. Oh, that's gone catastrophically there for those two. Viton Ultra leading the way ahead of Big Racky in second, with T running in third place right now. Matty Pitt ahead of the Mags, followed by Rexy Boy Brinky, Nino Blanco, and there's the two that had the incident there coming out of turn 2. I think Justify must have got it wrong, because I was watching Freddie on the inside of Matty Pitt, and then suddenly out of nowhere he just had a car right in front of him, and I think Justify must have had a spin in front of Freddie, and that was what caused the incident. But nonetheless, Viton Ultra leading the way ahead of Big Racky in second, T third ahead of Matty Pitt, Mags, Rexy Boy Brinky and Nino Blanco are the lead group at the moment. And there is Freddie, and there's Justify right now. Let's see what the damage is on these cars, because that could play a pivotal factor in whether they need to come into the pits and how much time they're ultimately going to lose over the course of this race. You can see Freddie, I don't know if that car is actually as damaged as it looks, or whether that's just the angle. No, that is genuine there. That's the right side of his front wing has come off. No, it hasn't. It's just the right front end plate. So Freddie into the pits. Justify seems to have got away with that one scot-free. In terms of damage, but obviously in terms of time lost in the race, it's certainly not. Certainly hasn't had the rubber to green at the start of this race. But Matty Pitt is all over the back of T in this battle for third place. He's got Mags and Rexy Boy all over him as well here. And Brinky not too far away. So this is currently a 5-car train here, battling over P3. The top two, Viton Ultra and Big Racky, have just cleared off the road a little bit, and Viton has got that gap at over a second here over Big Racky. So now he's out of that DRS threat, which is going to be crucial for him in his peace of mind as he tries to assert himself out the front of this race. But here is T coming under increasing pressure from Matty Pitt as they come down towards the hairpin here for only the second time in this race. Nino Blanco just starting to fall off at the pack here in this battle for third. But here comes Matty Pitt then, down the back straight with the DRS open. This is going to be a routine move here for Matty Pitt. He's got the move done way before the chicane. As we look in the background here, you've got Rexy Boy challenging on the back of Mags here into the final chicane. And Mags there had a little look up the inside of T as well, but too far back. But here goes Mags down the start-finish straight with the DRS again, and making that move easily there. T now looking to try and get involved, too far back at the moment. Brinky attacking. Oh, he's gone wide. He's gone very wide there. He's going to be careful rejoining the track here, and he does get it stopped, and good driving in the end there from Brinky. And we've backed off here because we've got a virtual safety car. Not 100% sure why at this point. So VSC's been deployed. Is there debris on the track? I'm not quite sure where it is, but presumably there must be somewhere. And T's got a 3-second time penalty here. Oh, T is missing his front right end plate, so that's why we've got a virtual safety car. There is debris on the track, which I assume has got to be removed. And obviously with Freddie a little way behind the pack, that means that I don't think they can clear the debris just yet. So they've got to wait for Freddie to drive by, and then obviously they'll be able to get move that debris to a safe spot. But nonetheless, Viton Ultra has got the gap at just over 2 seconds here over Big Racky at the moment. And early stages here in this Canadian Grand Prix here at Purple Sector. I know Oliver's going to be watching this one. He's going to be not too happy with the shenanigans that went on there through turn 2, lap 1. Just to me, I don't know, I haven't watched it back yet, but watching it live, I'm pretty sure that Justify lost the car in front of Freddie, because I just saw Freddie side by side with Matty Pitt, and just all of a sudden there was a Williams right in front of him, and then out of nowhere they just ended up stuck together and in the wall. So I think personally, I think that Freddie just had nowhere to go. Justify must have lost it in front of him. But T and Brinky into the pits here under the VSC, although the VSC has subsided, so they're not going to get the full benefit of being able to minimise their time loss. As V10 Ultra's gapped to Big Raki under a second now, so Big Raki's brought it down as Big Raki maximised under the VSC. Obviously, we know that everyone has to stick to a delta under the VSC, but maybe V10 Ultra was just a little bit too cautious, and Big Raki maybe maximised what was available, what was possible through that VSC point, and that could really benefit him if he can keep it within DRS out of the hairpin. Then that could be, although he hasn't managed to do that actually, but yeah, if he had done, then that would have been massively beneficial there for him. In fact, no, he has managed to get DRS, so he was within the second barrier at the detection point. And here we go then, Big Raki getting closer and closer towards the chicane, a little bit too far away. He'll get another dose of the DRS out of the chicane though, and we'll be able to bring him that little bit closer once again here towards turn one. In fact, no, you don't get DRS down the straight, do you? No. Okay. Right, interesting. Okay, noted. But V10 Ultra stood out the front. He's gapped just under a second over Big Raki at this stage in the race. Mags all over the back of Rexy Boy as well in the battle for fourth place. So V10 Ultra and Big Raki and Rexy Boy and Mags, they're the two battles going on right now. This one here between Rexy Boy and Mags for fourth and fifth at this stage in the race as they come through 3 and 4. And T has got ahead of Justify. Justify's into the pits. So Justify obviously after the collision with Freddie on the opening lap. Was surprised he didn't come in, but clearly he felt his damage wasn't worthy of a pit stop, but he has now come in. And Oliver there says, don't worry, I think he'll pull through. He always does there about Freddie. Well, Freddie, we know that he's a gutsy racer for sure, and he's got a lot of grit and determination. So let's see where he can get to in this race. I wouldn't put it past him to get some very strong points. Whether or not he can get on the podium, we'll have to wait and see. But Mags here is getting closer to the back of Rexy Boy into the chicane. A little bit too far away still at the moment. V10 still out the front over Big Raki. And Matty Pitt there in P3. About a second ahead of this battle between Rexy Boy and Mags at this stage in the race. Freddie is bringing the gap down to T, who's running in 7th place. Only 2 seconds between those two. And it is coming down at a rate. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one. But Mag's still putting the pressure here on Rexy Boy. Matty Pitt with a 3-second time penalty for track limit warnings. Gap nearly 2 seconds at the front between V10 Ultra and Big Raki. Keeping an eye on that one. It seems like V10 Ultra's got control of this one at this moment in time. Just right on board with the kick salvo of Mags as we come into the chicane before the hairpin. Obviously the corner where George Russell had his mare last year. And Mags going a bit deep there into the hairpin, but to be fair, it's one of those corners, it opens up so much on the exit that you can always adjust your speed accordingly depending on what sort of run you get through the corner. You can get onto the power earlier, you can take it tighter, and then it really is one of those corners. It's such an open corner that it's difficult to compromise it unless you really mess it up. But Mags here getting closer to the back of Rexy Boy into turn one. He's going to look to the outside, but Rexy Boy's got that one covered off for the time being. And he can't quite put that pressure on him enough. As the gap between T and Freddie down to 1.4, so Freddie continuing to carve that gap down at an absolutely rapid rate here. But Mags here still trying to force the issue here with Rexy Boy in 4th place. And V10 Ultra continuing to skip away out the front. Oh, as he gets a bit of a slide there. Living dangerously, I'll tell you that. But clearly he seems to have confidence with it. You can see Mags here closing and closing and closing on the back of Rexy Boy here down towards the chicane again. And he's going to have a good chance here coming down the start finish straight. Oh no, he doesn't get a good exit there at all. I think that may have compromised him. The DRS is open down towards turn one. Okay, right, Mags here looking to make it stick there, and he does it brilliantly there up into P4. Rexy Boy had no defence for that one. The DRS and Mags's bravery on the brakes there were just too good for him. So now Mags looks to try and chase down Matty Pitt, occupying that final podium place at this moment in time. Matty Pitt has also got a penalty as well. Let's check the tyres, because the tyres are going to be quite a big factor in what strategy these guys are on. Here's an interesting one. So Big Raki started on the hard tyres, Beaten Ultra on the mediums. So that does mean that Big Raki has got a bit of a strategic ace up his sleeve here. Now, he can go longer into this first stint, and barring any safety cars, that's going to really benefit him later in the race. The fact that he's kept the gap down to 2.5 seconds on the inferior tyre is also very impressive, and it goes to show that when the tables are turned, he could really have quite a bit more pace here than Beaten Ultra. So this is going to be one to keep an eye on as this race develops. But yeah, Big Raki was still with a chance of winning this race as things stand. No penalties yet thus far either. And I know that might have sounded condescending, but trust me, it isn't. When it's quite easy to take advantage of the track limits, but once you learn to sort of rein in that the temptation, then it's very rewarding. So obviously he's learning that, and he's seems to have got on top of it so far anyway, but long way to go. But Rexy Boy and Mag's currently half a second separating those two. In 4th and 5th places at the moment. Freddie is all over the back of T here, getting closer and closer, but he's too far away coming into turn 1. T seems to have good straight line speed. That might be why Freddie hasn't been able to clear him, because he's been on the back of him now for a couple of laps. Brinky has got a 3-second time penalty as well there for track limits, so he becomes the 4th driver now to full foul of the race stewards here in Montreal. And Rexy Boy and Mags here, 7/10 of a second separating these two in 4th and 5th places as they come on the exit of the hairpin. Mags was just about within DRS there coming out of the hairpin, despite the fact that he'd fallen out of the second barrier on the exit of the corner. He was within that window when they went through the detection point. Oh, it's Freddie here tapping T a little bit there on the exit of the hairpin. Now Freddie's going to have a great chance because he's almost alongside him before we even get to the DRS zone. Now we're in the DRS zone. He's going to power on past him, and T's going to have no defence here. Freddie is going to breeze off into the distance now into 7th place. So Freddie there timed that brilliantly with the DRS, was behind the detection point, was right on his bumper coming out of the corner, and or on his rear wing should I say. And Freddie there now into 7th place, can now try and chase down Nino Blanco in P6. Oliver, what are we thinking? Where do we reckon he's going to finish here in this one? Does he need a safety car, do we reckon? I reckon it would certainly help, because he has definitely got to stop again. He's not going to be able to one-stop this with a set of mediums on, so he's going to have to go like the clappers here in this one. But Beaten Ultra still at the front, leading the race. His gap just under 3 seconds over Big Raki, who's on the harder tyre, which, as we said before, will pay dividends as long as we don't have any safety cars. So, talking of contrasting situations here, obviously Big Raki could do with the safety car staying well away here tonight, whereas Freddie would definitely, I'm sure, appreciate its deployment here tonight, that's for sure. But interesting first phase to this race then, and we're still yet to reach the pit window for the medium tyre runners. The hard tyre runners will be reaching the pit window in about 10 laps time or so. But for the medium runners, we'll expect them to start coming in probably in the next couple of laps, as T has got the 3-second time penalty there for track limits. So that's it, yet another driver here who's got in the steward's bad books here tonight. One thing that I said, I've waxed lyrical about it over the first week that I've been commentating on this game, is the camera angles here on F124 are absolutely superb. Really enjoying the options that you've got here in terms of the way that you can actually skim through the pack and get them all coming through the same part of the track. I remember on previous F1 games, if you switch driver, the camera angle would change completely. Now, if they're coming through the same shot, you'll get to stay with that same shot. I know, again, it sounds ridiculous. This is something that but trust me, when you're a commentator, it's so satisfying. It really is. I can't describe it. It's just brilliant. See, look at that. Rexy Boy looking still pretty close on Matty Pitt right now as they come into the hairpin for the 12th time in this race. Max is falling off with these two quite considerably now. It looks like it's between these two for the podium, at least at this point. And Rexy Boy here with the DRS is going to get that a little bit closer to Matty Pitt, but not quite close enough at this moment. As it would appear Freddie has picked off Nino Blanco up into 6th. So Freddie continuing his fight back through the pack here. Max into the pits here at the end of lap 12. Matty Pitt and Rexy Boy continuing to... pardon me, that was a hiccup. To continue to battle it out for 3rd place. These two Mercedes teammates here having a good little tussle. Just noticing here that Big Racky's brought the gap down to V10 Ultra a little bit here. Only 2 seconds now. It was best part of 3. I think it was over 3 briefly. So that's one to watch, because now we're reaching that crossover where the hard tyre becomes the more favourable tyre. Obviously the medium is the faster tyre, but once the medium reaches a certain level of degradation, you find that the hard tyre does actually, for a brief window, become the faster tyre. And obviously the hard tyre starts to fall off after about 20 laps. By that point, obviously the medium tyre runners have put their fresh hard tyres on to go to the end if they're one-stopping. And they'll obviously be lapping quicker, but there's a brief crossover where you want to stay out on the mediums to maximise your stint, but you also are going to be a bit slower than the hard runners, and that's the situation that V10 Ultra's found at the moment. Big Racky is bringing that gap down at this moment. As Rexy Boy here getting closer to the back of Matty Pitt into turn 1, still a little bit too far back at the moment. Can't make this happen for the time being. Justify still on the back of Brinky as well as they come down towards the hairpin. He looks to the outside. Brinky parking his car on the inside. Now Justify is going to try and go for a cutback here. But is he going to be able to make it work? Here we are then, side by side, down the back straight. Justify has managed to make that move there on Brinky up into 8th place. So he's done brilliantly there as Justify. Rexy Boy still over the back of Matty Pitt in about for 3rd place. These two have been going at it for now for quite a while. Also, got to keep an eye on Justify and Brinky running in 8th and 9th places, but these two coming through the chicane before the hairpin. And Rexy Boy's got to fancy his chances this time down the DRS zone. If he can get a good exit out of the hairpin, this has got to be his best chance. 0.3 of a second the gap as they came into the braking zone. Here we go then. And the exit wasn't too bad. It wasn't great from Rexy Boy, I have to say. But here we go then. DRS now enabled here as they come down the back straight. That'll bring him that little bit closer. He's just going to be a little bit too far away coming into the chicane, but he'll get another dose of DRS, and Matty Pitt comes into the pits. So Matty Pitt maybe sensing the moment, wasn't too far away. Rexy Boy into 3rd. Matty Pitt, I think, was coming in for a scheduled pit stop anyway. I don't think it actually had anything to do with Rexy Boy's imminent closing, but V10 Ultra nonetheless has extended the gap with Big Racky here. So Big Racky, has he made a mistake somewhere out there? Not sure, because Big Racky was bringing the gap down actually a couple of laps ago with his hard tyres. Obviously V10 Ultra now on very worn out mediums, but Big Racky's still not in a bad position at all, because as we said before, he's on the slower tyres in his first stint and he's kept the gap down to 5 seconds. So he's been averaging, losing about 0.3 a lap over V10 Ultra, which isn't too bad when you consider the V10 Ultra's been on the considerably quicker tyre, the medium tyre. I think Usually is about half a second a lap quicker than the hard, so Big Ricky's certainly kept himself in this. He'll have the faster tyre at the end, but he needs to extend his stint on the hards. I say extend the stint, he needs to stay out for a bit longer here. I wouldn't suggest extending the stint any more than what would be ordinary for the hard tyres, but certainly you do have to keep it out there for a bit longer, and you have to resist the urge to respond to those who are pitting and setting those fastest lap times who are going so much quicker than you, because ultimately it will pay dividends to stay out, and then you've got tyres that will get you to the end and you can push on in that final stint. But Rexy Boy into the pits at the end of lap 16. He's put the hards on, they'll take him to the end comfortably. Matty Pitt coming into turn 1, so Matty Pitt has stayed out ahead of Rexy Boy. Obviously the undercut working, and Mags has also got ahead of Rexy Boy here, so that is the undercut working to its full effect there. Rexy Boy is now down to P5. Mags there, 4 laps on those fresher hard tyres, has absolutely worked out a treat there for him. Justify still on the back of Brinky here and about off a P6. Justify on those worn medium tyres, Brinky on those slightly less worn hard tyres, which he could stay on for a bit longer and maybe put the softs on if he's pretty bold here. Wouldn't be completely out of the question here, I'm sure. I wonder if that's what he's thinking here with a potential strategy. Nonetheless, Rexy Boy close on the back of Mags. Has Mags got the DRS here on Matty Pitt? I don't think he has, you know. No, he hasn't. So he's going to be extra vulnerable here to Rexy Boy. As Rexy Boy closing and closing and closing down towards the chicane. He's going to have to wait a little bit here. I don't think he's close enough here on the exit. Oh no, he will be, because Max has made a terrible error there coming through the chicane. Really wasn't confident at all there. Now Rexy Boy getting closer. He's going to look to try and set one up the inside into turn 1. Here we go then. Side by side into the corner as Max manages to hold it just around the outside there. Rexy Boy though getting a good exit out of turn 2. Much better drive there on the outside. Max still keeping himself there on the inside. Who's going to back out? Oh, neither of them do, and there's a contact there between them, and Max comes off way worse in that one. Rexy Boy did lose a second or two there, but Mags has lost about 3 seconds there to Rexy Boy, and it's now way down in P5, and neither of those two wanted to back out on that one. Rexy Boy tried to keep it around the outside. Mags, in the end, unfortunately for him, losing a bit of time there, but Rexy Boy continues on his way. I reckon the stewards will want to have a look at that one. I think maybe Rexy Boy should have given Mags a bit more space there. He was on the inside. I know that Rexy Boy was ahead, but Mags had the right to some space there on the inside of the corner. Nonetheless, Beaton Ultra coming out of the pits, having done his mandatory, so he can go to the end now. He started on the mediums, let's not forget, and he's done 18 laps on them, so he can push these hard tyres to his heart's content. He hasn't got to worry about a thing here in a final stint. Big Racky trying to go as long as he can on these hards so that he can guarantee himself a solid run here on the mediums at the end. He won't want to have to look after them. He'll want to be able to push them as much as he can to the end of the race. Oh, racing the big Rockies into the pits here at the end of lap 20. So 15 laps left to go. He'll have to get the mediums to the end from here, which is not going to be easy. But Big Rocky nonetheless into his box, and off and away he goes. So Big Rocky's come out 7 seconds behind Viton Ultra. So 15 laps left to go. He'll have to lap half a second a lap quicker than Viton Ultra if he wants to win this race. Is that going to be possible here on the faster tyres? Is he going to have to look after them at all, or is he going to be able to push them? 15 laps isn't that much. We saw Viton Ultra obviously managed to go 19 laps on his. But how much was he looking after them? And was that potentially the reason why Big Wacky was able to keep the gap as low as he did? But in the meantime, we've got Brinky, T and Freddie here battling over 6th place. And Freddie looking pretty racy here. Has got fresher hard tyres on than these guys, and that will allow him to push quite a bit more than them. T can go to the end, but his tyres are going to be a wreck when they do get to the end of the race. Freddie can easily push all the way to the flag here. Hasn't got any degradation issues with these tyres, I don't think, because 20 laps, they'll easily go 20 laps. And here he goes then, he's getting closer to the back of T as they now come down towards the hairpin. He's going to look to the inside. Oh, he's going to send one up the inside here is Freddie. Fantastic late move there from him. He's just gone over the DRS detection point, but he is within a second of Brinky, so he's okay. So brilliant driving there from Freddie. Knew that he was within a second of the car in front as well. Knew he could take that risk. Here he goes in. DRS open now for Freddie and T, but T's trying to come back at Freddie. Looking to the inside. Oh, look at that. He's gone deep though into the chicane. Freddie will get the cutback. And no, he won't, because he's got nowhere to go. That was a bit naughty there from T. That was, I don't think that was really on there. But nonetheless, he's up into 7th place. So Brinky now can try and skip away into the distance there in 6th, whilst these two battle it out. But yeah, these two are definitely taking time off each other right now. That's for sure. Oh, there's Freddie there, really closing up onto the back of T. Yeah, these two are definitely taking time off each other right now. That's for sure. Oh, there's Freddie there, really closing up onto the back of T. Big Wacky there's got a penalty. Oh, has he? No, it looked like it. It came up on the screen, but it's not showing up on the time board. Oh no, as T there takes out Brinky into the hairpin. Freddie says, see you later boys, thank you very much. But T's still in the DRS of him, but T there went late on the brakes into the hairpin and just wiped out Brinky. Brinky, an innocent bystander in all of that one. But Freddie here, just ahead of T as they come into the chicane. T will get DRS and Freddie still gets DRS because he was behind Brinky. So that's crucial for him as we come now towards turn 1 again. And T, what's he doing? What's he doing? T's just taking Freddie out into turn 1. This is... Wow, that to me... I don't really know what to say. I'm a bit shocked, to be honest with you, about that one. Yeah, that's not on, is it? I was just saying, but I forgot I muted my mic, was that Vitan Ultra seems to have this race pretty much wrapped up, because he's got a bit of a gap back to Big Raki, nearly 7 seconds, but Big Raki has closed in a little bit over the last 5 laps by about a second. It was 7.5 seconds when he came out of the pits. He ended up 20, ended up 25. It was 6.5, so about 0.2 a lap he's been gaining. As I said earlier on, he'd need to gain about half a second a lap to have a chance of challenging Vitan Ultra for the win, so I think that might have just slipped beyond his grasp here, but nonetheless, it's definitely showing that he's got the credentials here to fight. As Brinky's lost out to Freddie now up into 6th place. Both of these two with the same amount of penalties, so that's going to stay as it is. If things were to finish as they are right now, Freddie will finish the race where he started, which is creditable when you consider the incident that he had when he dropped down to last on the first lap. We had no safety cars either, so this recovery has been entirely of his own doing. It's been crafted and executed by himself here. Justify there, a bit of a slide coming out that chicane, but Freddie, I think, has let him through there. Freddie waving him by. Is Justify on faster tyres here? He is. He's actually on fresher and faster tyres, so that might explain why Freddie was so complicit there in letting him past. He is. He's actually on fresher and faster tyres, so complicit there in letting him past. Freddie might have a chance to come back at him here. We'll be able to see. Well, Justify's got the DRS actually, interestingly. So clearly the detection point is the same for both zones. Some DRS zones on some tracks have separate DRS detection points, but not this one. And that was allowing Justify to just take himself a bit further away here from the Freddie. As we've, well, these two have got best part of 8 laps to go. Vitan Ultra's got 7 to go. Best part of 7 laps to go, as he's nearly a lap ahead in the lead of the race. 8 laps to go. Vitan Ultra's got 7 to go. Best part of 7 laps to go, as he's nearly a lap ahead in the lead of the race. Freddie here on the back of Justifiers, they're battling over 6th place, and he's still trying to force an opening here. So obviously he waved him by a couple of laps ago, but as Justifiers medium tyres get more and more worn out, Freddie's hards will start to get a second wind relative to them. But Freddie did put his hard tyres on quite a bit before Justifies there. Not exactly on the same way, but oh no, it's Justifies lost it there, coming through the chicane. And Freddie there makes his way through, and Brinky will be up on the scene in a second as well, and he's going to breeze past Justify as well, down towards the hairpin. So Justify making a big mistake there and has lost time, but he's back down the inside of Brinky into the hairpin. And who's going to get the DRS here? God knows, because I don't really know where this detection point is. I thought I knew, and then Brinky's lost it. He stacked it there out of the hairpin. And it doesn't really matter who's got DRS because it's not going to benefit anyone. But yeah, Justify continues on his way. Brinky there in all sorts of problems here. But Freddie now P6. I reckon that will be his position. And you've got to give credit to Freddie for his comeback drive after the first lap collision. Obviously it was with Justify, so both of those two have come back through the pack together, but it would appear I think Freddie is going to be the one who makes the best recovery from this by the end of the race. But Beaten Ultra still out the front. His gap over Big Racky is extending 12 seconds. I don't wonder if Big Racky's made a mistake, pushing too hard, maybe trying to close that gap. I said before, the gap did close a little bit after the pit stops, but since the last 5 or so laps, that gap has gone up by about 6 seconds. So I think Big Racky's definitely managed to make a mistake here, pushing a bit too hard, trying to close the gap, as that was a hiccup. And T's got another penalty here, 15 seconds worth now. So Beaten Ultra leading the race here, starting lap 33, a lap ahead of Justify's teammate, who's on lap 32 in 7th place after qualifying in 3rd on the grid. It's not been the night at all for Justify. Was best of the rest behind Beaten Ultra and Big Racky, who it was clear from the outset were going to be the ones to beat. But over the course of this race, Beaten Ultra's extending the gap in the final stint. I don't know whether Big Racky's making a mistake. Oh, he's in the pits. So putting the soft tyres on and going for fastest lap, which is quite wise actually, because he's obviously seen that Matty Pitt's got a 12-second penalty, so he's not too worried about Matty Pitt getting ahead of him here. Knows that he'll get him on the penalties anyway. So very, very smart thinking there from Big Racky, I have to say. But now he needs to try and find a window here, because he's a bit too close to Matty Pitt to be able to go for the fastest lap. I think he'll probably catch up to him whilst he's on the fastest lap attempt, or does he feel like he might be able to do the fastest lap anyway, despite having to overtake him, or is he just not thinking about that? I mean, I don't know what's going through his head at this moment in time, but Big Racky nonetheless looking like he'll get the fastest lap point here. And the point itself probably isn't worth too much, but the pride and the sense of fulfillment of having achieved that, I imagine, probably means a fair bit more than the actual point itself. But he's hunting down Matty Pitt, and he's out of the DRS at the moment, but he should get ahead of him pretty soon, as Beaten Ultra has now come in and done the exact same thing. Big Racky missed the trick there. He should have waited until the last lap. Rookie error there, son. And Beaten Ultra now is back out on the track on a fresh set of boots.
So now it's going to be a contest for fastest lap between Vitan Ultra and Big Raki. Who's going to get it here? Surely Vitan Ultra is not going to push on the limit here, considering he's got the win in the bag and he's got a big lead. He'd be a fool to push this 100%. But we'll have to see. Big Raki's got less to lose. He can roll the dice a little bit here, but Vitan Ultra surely can't give it 100%. He can't push like it's a qualifying lap. He'll have fresh tyres on, obviously. He'll break the current fastest lap, but Big Raki's surely going to be able to push harder than he does. But nonetheless, here we come, down the DRS zone. So Big Raki's going to breeze past Matty Pitt like he's not even there, with that rear wing wide open. Vitan Ultra now starts the final lap of the race. Let's keep an eye on these split times here, because it's going to be absolutely crucial to who gets that extra point. Vitan Ultra coming through the first sector right now. Keep an eye on the top right hand corner. What is it for Vitan Ultra? It's a 19.5 from Vitan Ultra. Big Raki coming through the first sector. Watch on that right hand corner. It'll be about the 19-second mark where we'll know what sort of lap he's on. It's a 19.6, so Vitan Ultra a tenth quicker than Big Raki in the first sector. So watching a qualifying session, this is Vitan Ultra now coming down towards the middle sector checkpoint. He's 6/10 up, a 41.847. Big Raki now coming through the chicane before the hairpin on the absolute limit there. You can see 41.847 is the time to beat. Oh, he's half a second down with Big Raki, so Vitan Ultra looking like it's going to be the fastest lap point for him. And Big Raki there made the mistake of coming in 2 laps from the end instead of 1. But here comes Vitan Ultra out of the final corner. It's going to be the win, and it's going to be the fastest lap here in Montreal. Vitan Ultra takes the Canadian Grand Prix here tonight at Purple Sector, and I don't believe he was ever in close proximity to another car, so I don't think he could have picked up any penalties here tonight. But who knows? But Big Raki over the line to take second place in the end, but it's not the fastest lap for him. As Matty Pitt comes over to complete the podium, it's going to be Rexy Boy who's going to come into the final corner here, the final chicane. P4 for him, a fair way ahead of the mags. As we see an Alpine stacking it out of the final corner. Nino Blanco there has binned it, but Rexy Boy P4. Brinky and Tia both finished the race a lap down in 8th and 9th places respectively. And Mags here coming up towards the line. It's going to be P5 and 10 championship points there for Mags. Freddie will be next over the line as he comes through the final chicane here. 6th place for him, not bad at all when you consider what happened on the first lap. He finishes ahead of the man who he had that collision with on the first lap. Freddie P6. Justify also involved in that we just spoke about there. It'll be 7th place for him with 3 seconds penalties to his name. And that's his race done. And that is that. That's all the finishes here for the Canadian Grand Prix here tonight at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. And well, the race was good up to a point, but there was an incident which kind of put a bit of a damper on it, which Matty Pitt will be aware of after this. But yep, aside from that, it was clean, and it was a good race. Vitan Ultra taking the win from Big Raki in second, and Matty Pitt completing the podium there. But Vitan Ultra never looked in doubt really. Big Raki took the fight to him at certain points, but Vitan Ultra always had the answer. Always just had that upper hand and showed it at the end with that fastest lap of the race there by 3/10 over Big Raki. They both had fresh tyres on, but V10 prevailed in terms of his pace, in terms of his consistency, and ultimately is your race winner here tonight. Thanks everybody for watching this pack. If the drivers did enjoy this, please do share it with your friends, family members and otherwise associates, and we'll see you in the next one. We're back on Thursday night for Purple Sector again for round 10 of the season, and that'll be at Catalonia for the Spanish Grand Prix, Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. But thanks everybody again. We'll see you all very soon. Take it easy. Good night.